This podcast is certified fresh. Freshmediaworks.com.
Welcome to the Montgomery ISD Athletics Show, where each week we share conversations about everything that makes MISD athletics so great. Montgomery ISD, in partnership with families and community, will graduate all students with the knowledge, skills, and leadership necessary to thrive as productive and responsible citizens. Athletics play a vital role in student success, promoting physical and mental well-being while developing essential life skills like teamwork, leadership, and resilience that benefit students far beyond high school. The Montgomery ISD Coaches Show is fueled by EAG Automotive, East Texas's MVP since 1977. With 8 locations and a winning lineup of new and pre-owned rides, they bring the heat with hometown hustle and high-performance service. EAG Automotive, where East Texas drives to win.
With 60,000 fiber route miles across 20 states, we deliver reliable solutions. We prioritize customer service to build better relationships and a better Texas. Consolidated Communications. Let's build a better network.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Montgomery ISD Athletics Show. I'm Chris Daly, and I am joined by the one and only Coach Brad LaPlante. How you doing, Coach?
Oh, it's a great day. We're finally making it to the Christmas break. It's been an awesome fall semester. So thanks for having me on to talk about our kids and our program and our community and our coaches today.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll go through some of the teams that have participated already in the fall semester a little bit later, but let's back up and I guess talk about your junior high, what you've got going on there, what your philosophy is there.
Yes, sir. I'm glad you brought that up because that's the foundation of everything, our junior high athletics. And, I guess my philosophy is number one, we want as many of our kids playing as many sports as they can. We don't know who they're going to be when they're going to be a junior. They got to grow. They got to get coached by different people because volleyball, basketball, track for a 7th grade girl, you got 3 different sets of coaches that are working with them. I think it's good. They get different skills. You don't have to worry about the overuse, injuries. But then that philosophy at the junior high, that also carries over into the high school. Our high school, both the Bears and Lions, they're going to bring out some T-shirts later this year, and you have to be a multi-sport athlete to earn that T-shirt. We want our kids to do that, and we want to make it a big deal. Yeah, so I think that's going to be a great thing that will roll out next semester.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And when people think of coaches at the schools, they think of head football coaches, head volleyball coaches, but talk about the staff at the junior high and how important those folks are.
No, they are, because some kids, that's their first chance of playing organized sport. Other kids, they may start a kindergarten soccer league or a 2nd grade softball league or what have you. But as far as organized and dressing out and bigger discipline and grades and working with teachers and discipline in the hallway, it's a little bit different than the AAU select world. So, I got to give big props to Montgomery Junior High and Oak Hills Junior High. We've got some great people there. There's some of the best people and coaches at the junior high level that I've been around. Some things to say about them that, I think they step up when needed. Mm-hmm. They're kid magnets that they communicate really, really well. You walk into the gym on a Thursday morning, you just tell they love kids. They love what they do. And I call them multipliers. It means their love for athletics, multiplies through the kids. And then, to specifically talk about, just a few of them, mm-hmm. I want to point out our coordinators. So we've got Coach Fox and Abercrombie at Oak Hills, and then Coach Fagel and Keener at Montgomery Junior High. So they're the leaders, they're the coordinators, and they may not always be the head coach of every sport, but they're the key communicators. They're the bridge between the parents and the kids, and they communicate to the principal and budget and do kind of the dirty work behind the scene and do a great job with that. They're just fantastic leaders. They'll do anything for me that I ask them to if they don't want to. They know it needs to be done, but they'll do anything for the staff, and they're just people that step up all the time. And of course, they're always bringing things to me, which is good because that means they don't want to be just status quo. They bring me great questions. They want more budget money so they can do better things for the kids, all that sort of stuff. And they just want to, I guess, raise the bar. They want to make our programs better, our kids better, and their coaching staff. And, I think at the junior high level, they've really, I haven't been here a year yet. So I think they've really, brought in, my theme of building champions. And, you can tell you walk in that gym, they love up on the kids, but at the same time, they keep good discipline, but they're making all their decisions as best they can with great integrity. And, they have pride in what they do. And so when you go to the volleyball and the football, and of course, now the basketball is going at the junior high level, all of that from our coaches and the energy that they bring that trickles down through our kids. So when they're running up and down the basketball court there last week, looking at them and they're having fun, whether they're winning or losing, they're out there having fun and taking pride in what they do. I think it's because we have great coordinators, and that stems through our coaching staff and multiplies down to the kids.
I love that. And, a coach has to be a counselor, has to be a psychiatrist. But at the junior high, the kids are experiencing so much more change and turmoil than they do even at the high school level. It's so important at that level.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on, and you talk about all the multiple roles and support. There is probably a group I need to mention about support, and that's going to be our building principals. So Julie Roth at Montgomery Junior High and Gifford Whitehead at Oak Hills Junior High. They're unbelievable. They support athletics to the fullest. They understand it helps discipline in the building. The more kids we have doing things, whether it's band, theater, choir, athletics, they push it on those kids in a great positive way. And they're just great communicators. They have attention to detail, and they know our coaches work hard, so they live up on them. And I think one of the reasons why both of our junior highs are in good spots right now and they're successful is because those two individuals are just helping. They're supporting. Again, they want to raise the bar just like our coaches and stuff, and they're so easy to work alongside and support our coaching staff and our athletes, and of course our parents as well. So big props to Gifford and Julie for what they do in leading their two buildings.
Definitely. And something else that you do that's unique, I've never heard of it before. If you could explain it, the sixth grade pre-athletics, because I think that is so cool.
Yeah, this is new to Montgomery ISD, so this is year number one. So we haven't perfected it here yet, but that was something that I brought to Hutto, and there are many schools around the state that are doing that. So certainly when you leave the elementary school and you go to junior high, a lot of times you don't do anything with athletics until seventh grade. Well,
Right.
so in sixth grade we have regular PE. And then we also have the opportunity to do sixth grade pre-athletics. So it's not as rigorous as seventh or eighth grade. But I think it's better than PE because you're starting to work on the teamwork. You're starting to work on more individualized skills. You're starting to work on the discipline. And so for our administration to hear that, I wanted to bring that. And again, that goes back to Principal Roth and Whitehead. They wanted that. And of course, our superintendent, Dr. Ruffin, he was all on board, and everybody was ready to rock and roll. It's a big thing. So, you can do more with those kids. We've got a certain number of sports on the girls and boys side that we're already doing sport specific skills. You lightly introduce the weight room. Nobody's going to put 400 pounds on their back and squat and all that sort of stuff. You're just learning the technique and, just start again. You're starting to build that confidence. You're building champions starting in sixth grade, even though it's not a UIL sport per se. It's sixth grade pre-athletics. You're learning how to dress out. You're learning how to take different commands. And so that way, when you walk in to seventh grade volleyball, seventh grade football at the beginning of the year, cross country, what have you, you already know the system. Hopefully, you can figure out how to do the locker combination, just all those little things
Hmm.
to get us one step closer to being better, to being efficient. And, when I walk down there, our coaches are happy with it. Their numbers are good, the classes are big, and I think everybody's having a really good first year experience with it.
I love the whole idea of that just because, you've got another way for kids to feel a part of something. And I think that is so awesome.
Yes, sir.
So my question for you, do I qualify for one of those t-shirts since I cover all these sports?
We're definitely going to have to get your size in a
I was
Bear
gonna
and the
say, I don't
Lions
think you have
t-shirt
my
here down
size.
the road. I'm hoping I do as well. So both of you and I will have to campaign, and hopefully they don't put us on the track and make us run a 40
Oh
and
no,
put or
that would be
something in
bad for
that
me.
boy.
So let's talk about the fall though, because you're through a fall season for several sports, but let's run through some of them and give me kind of your take on this first season.
Yeah, I'll just kind of go school by school here, I guess. I'll start with Montgomery High, and I'll just talk about tennis. Coach Longoria in his second year, I think, as head coach for us, and he's still looking to grow his program even more and create excitement. And I know this spring, once they get done with individual tennis, they'll be down there at the junior high and getting those kids up and rocking and rolling. And I think numbers are going to be a big thing for him. But they had a great fall. They did lose in the first round of team tennis. It's competitive up and
Mhm.
down that ladder. And I guess another thing I'd like to say about him and give him a shout out. Coach Longoria also does some film work for Friday Night Lights, so we appreciate him doing that. So coming into break, they definitely had a good fall there. And then moving on to cross country, Coach McGuire, he's a very serious year-round track cross country guy. There's
Mhm.
nothing he won't do. I've sent two or three coaches to call him and get tidbits from, whether it be workouts or hey, I got to get my girl better at finishing leading up to the district meet. He helps people and he just does a great job with that. And I think one of his best things is he leaves no stone unturned. He pushes the kids to get better all the time. And I know he may be a little bit disappointed with the fall that they had because they did have a nice boys team
Mhm.
and we had good numbers and different things. If we had a couple other kids get a PR, they probably could have pushed a bunch into a state. And of course, we had a good freshman boy that had some good accolades and in times in the fall. So, but he runs a good program there over with the cross country there, and then of course we come to Coach Cooper,
Mhm.
who's our head football coach for Montgomery and also the campus coordinator. Nice season for the Bears, 8-2 overall in the regular season. They earned themselves a home playoff game. That was big to play in front of their home crowd. That was against Mount Pleasant, and they ended up losing a heartbreaker. I think they scored at, I don't know, the 30-second mark or,
Yeah.
28 seconds left to go in the game. So that was a tough one, but that was a darn good team with some very good individuals that they played against there. But I think they had the number one punter in the state. Wayland did a good job there, and they had a number of kids on the all-state academic team. I think that was good. In fact, I think it might have been over 20. All district, all academic. I think they were near 40, and
Wow.
so just a lot of nice accolades. And of course, when you go 8-3 overall and you're second place in the district, those things are going to follow. And Jack, the quarterback, had a nice season as district MVP, and I think the kicker Parker, he was also district special teams MVP. So great season there for Montgomery football.
Nice.
And then I guess the last one I'll talk about in fall, some of the other ones I'll mix into the spring when we talk later, is the volleyball team.
Yeah.
Uh, Stormy Champion, I had her on and she had a nice interview and she certainly did a good job. And, they won 35, 36 games. They were pushing to be number two in the district, ended up, I think, in third. They won 9 or 10 games in district. They were looking at making a deep, deep playoff run. She's probably a little bit disappointed. They lost in the third round, but they lost to a good Georgetown team. You notice, Lake Creek and Montgomery were meeting up with the Georgetown and Liberty Hill, some of my old stomping grounds there. So love
Hmm.
playing against those good teams. And, she's had, I think, three signees play in college already. She's got a junior committed to Utah, and just a lot of good things going on with Bears volleyball there. So I think that's kind of the four I'll touch on,
Hmm.
or for the Montgomery side for the fall, Chris.
Cool. Yeah. So let's jump over to Lake Creek.
Yes, sir. All right. So again, another good fall for the Lion side, and Coach Figueroa, he took over for tennis. This is his first year over there, and did a good job. And he's kind of a guy that steps up as well, does a number of things for other programs, and he's just a jack of all trades. He'll come over and announce and do some different things, and just an overall great guy. We were happy to shore up some facility things. We added some shade there at Lake Creek Tennis, so that was big for the parents, of course, who want that shade.
Yeah.
But it was good for the kids and just overall atmosphere. And I think we hosted two other deeper rounds of team tennis after we lost out. And of course, people come on in, and so I was nice and shiny and new. So that was good to see as they come in. And he's running a good program. His numbers are good. I know he's got some good kids that are going to be coming up after this year as well from Oak Hills. And again, I think they wish they would have had that first round one back. I think they lost the first round there, but
Hmm.
seeing those kids, they're competitive and doing a great job over there for him. Then we go to cross country, and Coach Hardman, he was new to us and also new to the sport of cross country. So I think every day for him is learning. And again, he touched base with Coach McGuire a bunch, and they built a great relationship there. And I thought for a first year guy, he did a really great job there. And he'll stretch them in the off season with some weight room things that he wants to get going, and had some positive numbers there. I know he's excited to take what he's learned year one and keep that rolling into year number two as well. We had the Hughes girl, I think, was a third place runner at state, so we had good representation there, and that's a freshman who was voted captain. So anytime you have a freshman that's voted captain, you have a
Yeah.
pretty special one there. But they're a good group, and we'll be looking for some good things here next year as he gets a full off season with them instead of coming in during the summer. So I know he's definitely excited about that. So let's see, we go on to Lake Creek football.
Hmm.
Made the playoffs, finished 5-6. They had some injuries that they battled throughout the year. Um, Anytime you're 4-3 in a tough district, we talk about our district all the time,
Yeah.
whether it's, the football district, which is 8, and we're in Region 2, or whether you talk about our Region 3 one with our other sports. People are going to come out of our district, and they're going to play a long way. So, they were 4-3 in district play. They did have a tough first round with Texas High, but not only did they have a tough team to play against, it was about a 5-hour drive to
Hmm.
go up there. So that was tough on them. And of course, we also had a number of kids on the academic all-state team there, and academic all-district as well. And of course, anytime you're a playoff team, you're going to have a number of kids who are honorable mention all-district or second team or first team voted on by our coaches. So Coach Kenny did a good job and got those guys into the playoffs. And we've already had let's see, the McKinney kid, offensive line, he committed with A&M and signed there. And they'll still have a number of signees coming up in February. And I know we'll talk a little bit about signing date later on. But good year for Lion football.
Nice.
And then the volleyball team, very young, very young. Coach Kane, you look at their record, 19-24, I think is what it was overall. But she purposely plays in such tough pre-district
Yeah.
tournaments, and of course that hampers your overall record. But the benefit of that is they almost beat a really good Friendswood squad in the second round. So we finished third in district, got in the playoffs. We won our first round and took Friendswood. I'm pretty sure we took them to 5 And honestly, we could have won that one. So I went to both of our Bears and Lions volleyball that night. I got there for the last couple sets of us against Friendswood. But I really think we could have won one. There was one really standout player that turned it on
Mhm.
the last two games there for Friendswood that kind of put them over the top. But there's no doubt that Lions volleyball is going to be back for sure. There's a number of freshmen and sophomore that are in her top, 8 or 9, and she's had I think three moving on to the next level. They just had one commit to Blinn the other day. So a lot of good things going on there with Lion volleyball and all of those four sports that I just talked about on their side.
I love that. And you've kind of dropped in little bits here and there about different kids that are going on to play at the next level. Talk about recruiting and signing day that recently happened.
All right, so that's one of the things. Again, I'm here about a full calendar year, and I still have a lot of buddies in the coaching world calling, and they see, man, you got 9 at this school and 24 at this school. I think right now, and this is flowing because it changes every day, but I think so far we might have had 34 kids that have either committed
Wow.
or signed. Somebody may have already committed now, but they don't sign until February. But we've
Right.
all already had, the early signing for non-football in November. We had the December early signing day there, and then of course comes the February signing, the first Wednesday of February, and we'll have more signings up to then. And then you'll even have some others trickle in throughout the year. We might even have a kid commit in May, maybe to a junior college for baseball or softball at the end. But the amount of kids in all of our programs, from golf to baseball to softball to the football and the volleyball, so all of those sports, our kids are doing some fantastic things, and that's a testament to our kids. We have great kids. They work hard. Um, Very few, if any, as I talk to our coaches, are what I would say an academic casualty. I don't think there's been one so far where one of my head coaches at either school has come to me and said, you know what, he or she has been recruited heavily, but they can't go to that school. That just doesn't happen in Montgomery ISD.
Nice.
That's just unheard of because our kids know the benefit of the great academics. And when you walk around the weight room, they're working hard there. When they're on the practice surface, whatever it is, the court, the diamond, the field, the turf, whatever it is, they're all working hard. So all of that comes to fruition if God gave them the talent and the dimensions to play at college ball. And especially right now, when you're talking about the transfer portal, the fact that we already have 34 kids that either have committed or signed,
Mhm.
and more to come. We're in December right now. There's definitely a lot of time yet this year. That really says a lot about the state of our athletic programs in Montgomery ISD.
I love that. And when you took this job, did you do that research on the recruiting, not so much that, but the parents and the community, and know that this was going to happen, or was this a just a great surprise?
I think the recruiting and commitment aspect of the number of kids probably was a surprise. The successive teams
Hmm.
that we've had up and down the Montgomery, up and down the Lake Creek side, that was definitely not a surprise. I mean, as you go back on Max Preps and you can search
Yeah.
3, 4, 5 years of all the success and second round, third round, fourth round, what have you, seeing the storied history, and of course, calling other athletic directors around the state and saying, hey, 8 years ago, swim this and golf that, and just they would rattle it off. Okay, it's just bound to happen that you have good kids along the line if you're winning ball games like that too.
I love that. Well, let's do, I guess, a spring preview because the whole next part of the school year is about to start after the holiday break, and a lot of people say that's the busiest time.
No, it is. And I think to cap off the fall, one thing I would
Mhm.
like to say, so we renovated the stadium. Of course, facilities are always ongoing. I'm going around looking at our gyms and checking out some bleachers, and there's some facilities that we may change out some bleachers or look to add some bleachers because of the need of the size of our crowd or the age. We're looking at doing some things with some batting cages for baseball and softball. It's always an ongoing thing. But of course, the freshest one is Montgomery ISD Stadium there
Yeah.
for football. So we had the renovation and games. We learned some things throughout the year, but we were all able to host two playoff games. So one was our own, that was Montgomery, because they were a top seed. They hosted Mount Pleasant, but then the following week, we host PNG.
Hmm.
So PNG is in our football district, and they've already played twice at our place, but then they call you back for the playoffs, and we know the success and crowd that they bring and storied football program. I just want to highlight our staff. So
Yeah.
that's Jill and Lori in my office. That's our ticket scanners, our gate workers, concession, security, all of our people. PNG doesn't come back unless they've had a good experience. If the fan don't like it, that's going to get to the building principal or the AD, the head football coach, and all that sort of stuff. So I think our personnel just did a great job in welcoming all teams this year. And then, of course, with the upgraded facility, with more press box room, more, you know, at a given game now, you get to a big playoff game, you might have two radio stations to live stream, and you might have 20 media
Hmm.
that want to get up in the press box. Well, without that other press box, we probably don't get that game
Yeah.
with that. So, of course, the addition of Wi-Fi and different things for the coaches, but everything just kind of came to fruition to get that game. And of course, we've got nice sized locker rooms to take care of them. Later in October, we were also able to add LED lights, and that we tried to keep that a surprise. I really think we did. I don't know how, because everybody, first thing people ask when you get new lights, is it going to have the light show? Everybody asks all that. Yes, but you can't tell anybody, darn it, and all that. But so we ended up having, it was kind of nice. Let's see, Montgomery played the first game there, but then Lake Creek got the first game with the new lights. So it was just kind of nice how
Yeah.
both schools had an added benefit with that. But the fact that we hosted those two playoff games, one that we earned, that was awesome for one of our teams. But the fact that we got a team like that, I'd already been there twice, had a good experience, and called us back again, that was a good sign. But I'm certain I had 40 or 50 other contacts about playoff games. So, the right team has to win
Yeah.
when you get there. But that's big for our community because, I got a couple text messages from our administration. Of course, Friday afternoon, they went out to eat. And God, there's a lot of purple in town. Well, P&G filled up our restaurant. So that's big for the city and the county,
Yeah.
not just us as a school district bringing that in. So just wanted to note that about the stadium and what some of the good things that brought out to us.
No, I'm glad you did. I'm definitely glad you did.
Yes, sir. Okay, so spring semester, and it does get kind of busy, and of course, golf, swim, girls and boys basketball, girls and boys soccer, powerlifting's about to crank up. I was in the weight room this morning with both my kids at 9, and just droves of kids at Lake Creek were coming in to lift weights today. You got the baseball and softballs of the world coming. We will host district swim on January 23rd at our natatorium.
Mhm.
Track's about to crank up as well. We will host district track also. So I hope I have all the sports. Of course, you got individual tennis in the spring as well. I did mention golf too. So I think I got them all mentioned. If I missed one or two of them, I certainly apologize on those sports. But you're right. Spring is a busy time. So if we have any Montgomery community members that are sitting at home and feeling old and decrepit on the couch, I think they're wrong because all they need to do is go to our website and find an event and go support some kid that's working his or her tail off. I mean, there's plenty of things to go see kids in their element and cheer them on, and there are kids, so
Yeah.
it's going to be a great spring, and we're really looking forward to all these sports getting up and rolling right after the Christmas holiday.
Yeah. And then you've also got realignment coming up. What do we know about that, or is it all still a mystery?
Well, I think at this point, who's going to be 5A, 6A, 4A, all those
Mhm.
sorts of things. So I think it's the first Monday in February that we're going to find out our new district. So, right now, football was in our current alignment. Football was in Region 2. All of our other sports were in Region 3. I think just by the number of 5A teams in the Houston area, I think football hopefully will get pulled back in to
Mhm.
Region 3. That way we don't have the 5 hour drive up to Texas High.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of mock ones going out. I mean, I've seen, I don't know, four or five or six of them, but a lot of them, I guess the only concern is a lot of them have us in a 9 team district. I'd love to see us in a seven or an
Yeah.
8 team district, and for me, I always think about that putting my head coach hat back on.
Yeah.
If I've got a young team or I lost a bunch of seniors or I don't have a lot of starters back, just always nice to have those non-district games for a young squad or an inexperienced squad to figure out just who they are or what their style of play is before you get into to district play. So we'll see how that always, it is a mystery. We'll see how it all shakes out. But Bears and Lions, we're going to be just fine. I mean, in all reality, can we get in tougher districts than we're in right now? I mean, every sport you talk about, teams are playing deep in the soccers and the volleyball and the basketball and the footballs of the world. So
Yeah.
I think for us, and that starts in our junior high league with the Magnolias and the Wallers of the world who we're playing right now. Our kids are ready and they're battle tested. So whoever we're going to be put with, I think we're going to be just fine. We'll be excited, and of course, that February time is always an exciting time of the year to see who we get to battle with.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And it's funny, doing this as long as I have, every coach I talk to says they're in the toughest district. But I tell you, you have some powerhouse district opponents for sure.
No, we do, and if you go up and down the line in tennis and golf and volleyball and somebody that comes out of, our district area region on the way to state, we've probably seen them somewhere along the line, whether it's, a powerhouse hitter in volleyball or a great quarterback in football leading their team. Well, whatever it is, I think we have great coaches in our district, including our own,
Mhm.
great players in our district, including our own, and great teams, including our own. So it's fun. It's awesome. There's no down nights. And if you're a competitor, you love that for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, Coach LaPlante, gosh, I want to thank you for bringing us up to speed because it's been cool as I get to talk to all the different coaches in the different sports. I kind of piece it all together, but this just makes it, I don't know. It's like that's the book report that, it tells us where we stand.
No, it is. And I just want to thank our coaches out there who work day in and day out. And, we see a lot of them up there, late nights. They're up there Saturdays and Sundays. They're giving their time to kids. You talk about the many roles. Yes, it's teacher. Yes, it's coach, but it's mentor. Sometimes it's a shoulder to cry on. Sometimes it's got to be the tough love deal. I mean, it's a special thing to be called a high school coach. It really is. It's so different than just the select world, and that's not knocking on AAU. And so it's just so different. All the conversation and so awesome. All the conversations you get to have in the hallways of our junior highs and senior highs. And I think one of our goals is we want to do it right, and that's why it's love, discipline, and integrity and pride, and building champions, and give our athletes the best opportunity to succeed on and off the field. Last year I did a little recruiting presentation. I'm bringing in, somebody else this year. Aaron is a recruiting company. Dan Fedrosi is a good friend that I used to work with at some camps. God, that was probably 2004, 2005 at North Dakota State. He played at Grand Valley State, a Division II, and so he's out there. He's created his own app. So on January 12th, this tough world of NIL and portal and ever-changing things, he's going to put for all sports, kind of his spin and just have a recruiting night for us. So our coaches will be putting that out, and you'll see. Oh, I guess later on in the spring, maybe April, we're looking for a date
Mhm.
for our eighth graders who will be next year's ninth graders at Lake Creek and Montgomery to go up to the high school. And they're going to do a kind of a little signing deal. It's a special thing to leave the junior high, but you're signing and you're committed to the high school program and what we're trying to do there and build them up. And we'll take pictures and have a little program and have tables around where they can go around to see our coaches and put a name with a face and get on their communication system, and just one more way that we want to be the best athletic department in all of Texas. So we're looking forward to a great spring semester.
Oh, I absolutely love that. It seems like every time I talk to you, you come up with something else cool that y'all are doing over there.
Well, not all these ideas are mine.
Right.
We've got a great team and we've got a great coaching team and they want to be better. So that's one of the best parts about leadership. Sometimes you just step back and let your workhorses go to work and do their thing. And man, we've got some great team players over here. One of the best coaching staffs I've been around. So just proud to say I get to work alongside them every day, but hoping I'm bringing some things to the table to raise us up and do better for our coaches, do better for our kids. And in fact, I would like to spotlight one of the things we are going to do later this spring. In February, the THSCA, Texas High School Coaches Association, has what's called a seat at the table. I call it ladies' night because it's different being the mom, the wife, teacher, taking care of the household, maybe going and getting the groceries and holding down the fort and dominating also at school. So we're going to have a seat at the table. This will be the first time Montgomery ISD has had that. So we've got some business sponsors and trying to get some gift certificates and things and just kind of pamper up our ladies and take care of them a little bit. So that's definitely another spring event that we are looking forward to, Chris.
Awesome. Well, once again, Coach Gus, I want to thank you so much and look forward to speaking again after the holidays, and tell them definitely have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you as well. Thanks for all you're doing for Montgomery ISD and coaches around the state, buddy.
At the Woodlands Behavioral Health and Wellness Center, they want kids to thrive, not just in school, but in sports and in life. Pressures like anxiety, ADHD, or even the stress of competition and injuries can hold them back. That's why their team offers specialized care, including sports psychology, to help kids manage performance pressure, bounce back from setbacks, and build confidence on and off the field. They provide complimentary consultations, so call today. Call 281-528-4226 or visit addwoodlands.com, because every student deserves the chance to thrive.